Hello, everyone. With the 12th NWSL season well underway, we've got 4 standouts from Gotham FC joining me today. Midge Purce, Nealy Martin, Sinead Farrelly, and Kristen Edmonds. I'm Renee Washington, and it's time to take a moment to pause, reflect, and also get a sneak peek to have a chance to have a walk in your boots, guys. First things first, coming off a 2023 NWSL championship, the first for the club. Obviously, you guys then go on to start off the season winning the Women's Cup, getting some more hardware. How has it been so far with Gotham FC? What's it been like this season? Neil, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I think it's been obviously different because our whole roster has changed. You know, we've probably gotten half of a new team, but it's been really cool to see the adjustment in how we can fit, so much talent into a roster and how we can kind of work together and gel together on the field and off the field. So it's been really cool to see that so far, and we're just getting started.
Yeah, I think coming off, we had such a momentum of last year, and again, you come in with a lot of the same girls, a lot of new girls, and you're trying to figure out how to make it work, but I think we built a foundation last year, and obviously the club's been around for a long time, but I think there was something about the team that came together last year to win the championship. And then to win the Women's Cup in the beginning of this year, it's just kept the energy good, and it's kept people bought into what we're trying to do. And I think having that foundation feels really good to everyone to just build on, and to we want to keep going. It keeps you hungry for more. And I think that is so important to keep the aliveness and the passion within the team, training every day and just wanting to get more wins. And what do we do as a team together to get there?
When you look at the season as a whole, it was kind of a lot of ups and downs. We just made it into the playoffs, and then we kind of peaked there. And I think this year is kind of the same. We're starting off kind of doing well in some games, struggling in some games. But I think to be able to see that we can go through that and still come out on top, and then we're kind of slowly going to be rising, I think that's something positive for us to look forward to.
Yeah.
They said it all. 4th is tough. I can do 3.
4th is tough. 4th is tough. But I will start with you on this one because it is amazing the journey that soccer brings us on. When you look back, I know we were talking about, growing up, but growing up playing soccer from rec to club soccer, ODP, high school recruiting, recruiting, college soccer, looking back, professional sports has grown so much from when we grew up to now, especially women's sports. And how much has your time with Gotham FC really compared to what you dreamt being a pro athlete would be like?
Oh, well, extremely different, considering I didn't think about being a professional soccer player when I was a kid. It was an option, but not really an option, if that makes sense. I remember seeing Sawa and Abby Wambach play in Germantown at the Sportsplex all the time, and those memories were really cool. But because the sport was or the lack of progression in it and the lack of professionalism that it had, it was never an avenue that I really truly considered. So the difference is enormous.
Mm-hmm. That's what I always tell people is that growing up when we were playing soccer, you played because you loved the sport. You wanted to play at the highest level possible, but you didn't really have that same idea that it could be a career. Have any of you guys felt like it's matched or completely surprised you, maybe on the opposite of what you thought it would be like being a pro athlete?
So the thought never really crossed my mind, like Midge was saying, until in club soccer I had a teammate whose sister played for Auburn, then went on to play for Sky Blue. But at the time, I don't know the year, I was probably in middle school or high school. I went to one of her games in Seattle, I think, and it wasn't exactly what I envisioned a professional environment to look like. So seeing the difference then to now, and even hearing from you guys on how much our league specifically has changed to become a more professional environment is really cool to see and learn from, I think.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the whole concept of if you can see it, you can dream it, you can be it is very real. And you don't always have those. We haven't, as women's sports in general, always had those types of ambitious dreams and goals of being a professional athlete. A big part of that is because the representation hasn't always been there. And we know how important it is to be able to have a space that allows you to authentically and unapologetically be yourself, be welcomed, feel like you can succeed. And I mean, Sinead, how important is it to you to be able to now also be that for other people? So you see it, and now you can be that for the next generation of that role model for them to look up to and to aspire to one day be like you guys.
Yeah, I think it's kind of crazy too. Like, as you were talking, I was thinking about when, I was on my under-8 team and the World Cup, the '99 World Cup was going on, and you're watching these amazing women and they're your role models, and you see that it's possible, but it still seems so far out of reach, or you think it's going to look one way, and then you're in this position that you are now where you're, number one, seeing all the stuff that they had to do to fight for, and a lot of us that have been in the league had to fight for to get to where it is now and see the changes, but also like staying with fans after, getting fan mail, hearing these little girls actually looking up to you and seeing you as role models. I think it's almost difficult for me to comprehend while I'm in it that I could be that for someone else, but that's why the fans are so important. It really reminds us why we're doing what we're doing and how we can be expansive for other people to see what is possible. And I think the reason why we all kept dreaming and kept playing was because we got to see the '99 World Cup. We got to see these women perform and compete and know that we can do that. So it's a dream to be in that situation, to be like that person possibly for a little girl watching. It's just amazing.
Yeah, for young Kristen, did you ever imagine that you'd be not only a professional athlete, but as Sinead is mentioning, be able to be that role model for somebody else that they're looking up to you and one day wanting to be just like you?
I mean, yeah, I watched the '99 World Cup too, and I think that's kind of when I was like, wow, like this is a dream that I kind of want to pursue. But also, like, I feel like when I was growing up and I was like, okay, I definitely knew that I wanted to make this my path, but there was a league and then it folded, and then there was another league and then it folded. So it was like, by the time I get to be able to play, is there going to be anything for me to play in? Also, too, like, having kids and families come up to me and specifically be like, I want you to meet my daughter, or I want my daughter to meet you because she hasn't had somebody that looks like her in a position like this before. So, I mean, there's definitely some powerful moments, like being in this position and kind of being in this league for such a long time.
Yeah, and actually sticking with that, as a Metuchen native, Rutgers grad, you obviously have played all over the world and all across the league. And when you had the chance to return back home to Jersey and be able to play with Gotham, and now, as you mentioned, you have kids that are right in your own backyard where you grew up, that have a chance to have that role model in you and your teammates. How much have you really seen the game evolve on and off the pitch since, how you started to how you are now in the professional space as an athlete?
Yeah, I mean, my journey has been an absolute roller coaster. Like, coming straight out of college, I actually didn't make any teams. Like, I actually got cut from Sky Blue twice. So playing here is actually kind of funny. And winning a championship with them is actually kind of funny. But yeah, I mean, I'm always like pretty realistic with any of the kids that I like talk to or train or anything. And it's like a hard job. It's hard work to be in this position. And I think people always, from the outside looking in, kind of just see the smiles and the championships and the wins and what they see on TV. But there's so much that goes on behind the scenes, and it's such a roller coaster of emotions season in and out. Coming back here was a difficult decision for me, and it hasn't been like all great. There obviously have been like great moments, but I still have my challenges. But when I look at my career as a whole, it's something that I could definitely be proud of, and to be here and have my parents like see that me winning a championship in their backyard essentially was like a pretty cool moment for me.
That is a cool moment. And I mean, a championship, that's what we all strive to win. When you play sports, you are doing it to win a championship. But you never know how that championship is going to unfold, and it might have you in goal. But listen, for you, Nealy, a historic, memorable season for you guys, obviously winning the first ever championship for the club. And you actually made history, becoming the first field player to ever play in goal in the NWSL playoffs. Another first that you probably were not expecting to make. But I'm curious to know, with sports, we always learn so much about ourselves as a competitor, as a teammate, as a person. What has this last year, especially looking at that championship run, what has that taught you about yourself as a teammate and a competitor?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I would have loved to have a save in the championship or in the other time I played in goal in San Diego. Feel kind of like a fraud a little bit.
I thought she was going to ask you, what did that like moment teach you? And I was going to say nothing. It taught her nothing.
Because she's ready to go back in at any time again.
Yeah, I wanted a save, but it's beside the point.
Maybe next time.
Yeah. Yeah, I think throughout the whole season and throughout my whole career, it's also been a little bit of a journey, like Kristen said. I also came into the league undrafted and went to an open trial and was on Racing Louisville and then came here. But I think not tying my identity to soccer, because that's always going to be a roller coaster. A lot of times it's just someone's opinion of you, but just going out there and having confidence in who you are, and specifically like my faith is really important to me. And tying yourself to something that's more rock solid than just this sport we play and someone's opinion of you.
I love that. I love that. And it is bigger than being more than an athlete, obviously, as we mentioned, but being able to have that perspective of understanding it's bigger than just what you're doing between the lines. And Sinead, I feel like this is a great segue into you because you obviously took time off from the NWSL, returned back with a whole new perspective, I'm sure, on life, on soccer, and to be able to be welcomed back. I remember those initial moments from the outside, the applause, the way that everybody warmly welcomed you back. I'm curious to know the emotion and just in that moment, if there's anything memorable that stands out to you the most in those early games back to the league after 7 years away that really jump out as that, moment that was almost surreal of knowing all that you've done, all the work that you've done, all the hard days and the good days to get back to that spot in the league. What was one that stands out for you?
Yeah, I think like the moment that I really got to process everything was not till after we won, because I think it was like you just have to keep putting one foot in front of the other once the season started. But the moments that really stand out to me the most, that just I think taught me the most, was how much I needed other people to get through those moments. And even getting myself to come back to try out, to play again, I could not have done without the support that I had, without the community that I had, without me like being vulnerable and trusting other people with my dream and what I wanted. And those moments, those through preseason, through the first game, second game, all throughout the season, I had really hard moments with my mental health, or I felt like I couldn't do it, like I couldn't belong. And that's when being on a team is amazing. And I had to lean on my teammates and ask them, like, I'm really struggling right now, or I felt like I just did terrible and I want to quit right now. And they helped me, like pushed me, told me to just like keep going. We all have hard moments. And sometimes when you're in your own brain, you think that you're the only person that's ever gone through that. And you realize that like we all deal with that stuff all the time. And I just feel so grateful that I was on the team and people helped me. And I will just never forget that, because I've lived a lot of my life thinking I don't need other people and I want to do things on my own. And I do need other people, and it is because of other people that I am where I am today, and I get to see what I'm capable of because of others, because of community. And so I'm just so grateful to be in this environment with everyone, because it's the only reason why I even had that opportunity to do that.
Yeah, there are so many different aspects in sports that people don't really understand, especially as a woman in sports. People on the outside looking in have one idea of what it takes to be successful, what it takes to every day, put on your cleats 1 foot at a time and get out there and prepare for soccer, prepare for training, prepare for games, prepare for the weather, whatever is going to be thrown your way that day. And I'm curious, Kristen, if there's, anything specific that jumps out at you, that if you could tell somebody the reality of being a woman in sports, playing professional soccer, what would that be for you?
You definitely have to have thick skin. Like it's something different every day. You come in and you grind, and at the end of the day, we all just want to play the game. But there's so much more to it. But if you can find those like little moments and little pockets of like joy and happiness and yeah, just kind of hold on to those pieces. You're going to go through like tough times. You're going to go through injuries. It's a part of the game, unfortunately, but how you bounce back from that, how you approach those things, like Midge, I think you coming to training and just being like a bright light around us is like awesome, because like even like sometimes like we'll be in training and it's like, for me personally, like I might just be like, oh my God, I'm having a terrible day. But then I like look over and you're like out there smiling and like all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, I need to put my big girl pants on. Like I'm out here and I can do it. So yeah, you just have to definitely have thick skin. But I mean, enjoy it, because, you know, it is fun. It's like an amazing job. So yeah, you just have to find those moments and kind of hold on to those.
Yeah, holding on to the little moments, the things that make you excited about it. Is there
Yeah.
anything else that you guys feel like, you know, you would want to tell somebody is the reality of being, whether it's as a professional athlete, a women's soccer player, whatever it may be, whichever hat, whichever box, the reality of what your day-to-day really is that they might not understand on the outside looking in?
I mean, I think in some ways, because we're using our body and so much goes into it, I think even you have to be mentally tough, you have to be physically tough. It can feel like a 24/7 job. You have to care about what you eat, how you're sleeping, how you're spending your free time, and it is so, I think there's this idea that you just show up and go to practice and you show up and play, and it's so much more than that, and you have to sacrifice so much to be here. And I think the people that are playing at this level know that. Like, we're at the extreme. We're at the top of what you can do in your sport. And so that means extreme sacrifices. That means extreme habits we need to do. And I think it's also such a, because it is so extreme, it also is like such a aggressive mirror, honestly, for like working on yourself and how to be the best version of yourself, best person, best player. And I think there's so much in this career for growth. And I think that's why we've all pushed to play at the highest level we possibly can, because we're people that want to grow and continue to get better. And while there's so much sacrifice and there's so much difficulty and it can feel like an emotional roller coaster, you realize in this career that you really have to surrender and you really have to be able to go with the flow, take the obstacles and find the joy in the moments. And that makes you a better person, a better human. And so I feel like there's like all the sacrifice, but because we're on this side of the extreme, we also get so much joy, so much. When we win after everything that we've done, it feels that good. And I think it's just like an extreme thing that we do, but we're feeling all the highs and all the lows at the same time. And I think we all want to live our life that way, and that's why we're in this sport and we play at this level. So it's just like a career of extremes is what I would say. And I think that's why only a certain amount of people make it to that level.
Mm-hmm. I know each of you have touched on that, you know, being in the moment and not overthinking things and allowing yourself to just be present and finding the little things that, you know, can bring you joy and make you happy and allow you to just enjoy what you're doing day in and day out versus, you know, getting caught up in all the other things that are outside of your control. And so that's what, as you mentioned, has helped you each grow maybe individually, but also you're a big part of helping the game grow. You're helping, as women, you know, women's sports grow, helping to provide a voice and a platform and a space that allows the next generation, as we keep talking about, to have something to aspire to do, you know, and how much is that, and I'll let you, either one of you jump in, you know, how much is that even something that I know right now maybe you can't process and right now you can't enjoy, but it's the reality of like you guys are doing something to trailblaze and open doors for others. What is that message that maybe you would tell younger Nealy, younger Midge, younger Kristen, younger Sinead about, you know, chasing after those dreams and allowing yourself to be vulnerable, be present, enjoy it, and let life just kind of take you wherever you want to go? What would that message be for you guys?
Whenever children ask me about advice, I always tell them to run their own race, because I wish that that would be something that I would have listened to. It was something that I heard growing up. Trust the process, you know, stay on the grind. It's not about the end, like blah, 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 blah. Everything else everybody says. To keep it 100. But it's so true that it really is the process that will get you to where you want to be, and it's really the process that you'll value at the end of the day even more than the destination. And it's a lesson I think you don't learn until you've been through it and you can actually regret it and regret not being at practice and enjoying everyone around you, getting those touches on the ball that you miss. Yeah, so run your own race for me.
I like that.
I think to a certain extent, to be at this level, you have to obviously have the talent. But I think you have to be willing to work for it, because the things that separate us right now are so minuscule. You know, a coach might play someone because, I don't know, they do something extremely well, or just a little different than someone else. So I think the work ethic is so important and something you can control, and something that I feel like I built my career on. But you also have to have the passion. Like, everyone on our team has the same passion. We love this game. Like, I don't think anyone would make it to the level we're at without loving the game. And we've probably all been playing since I was like 3 years old. And I just love to run. Shocker. Still running. Yeah, but you also have to have the passion and love what you do day in and day out, because like Sinead said, it's a 24/7 job. Like, you go home and your job's not done. You got to sleep well, eat well. So I think that is really important.
Okay. Well, the last main question I have, and I want each of you guys to really take time to think this through, is to walk in my boots is to know blank. I know for me, it might be to walk in my boots is to know struggle. On the outside, it looks one way, but for me, it's adversity, it's struggle, it's constant challenges that I'm working to overcome, and knowing that I'm gonna bring my best self every day. For each of you, what would that be for that walk every day of what you're facing, what you're overcoming, maybe even the reality of who you are, of to walk in your boots as Kristen, Sinead, Nealy, and Midge?
I think for me, I would say to walk in my boots is to stay open. And I think something that I try and do that helped me be here today and come back and play was like staying open to the idea that anything's possible, staying open to the idea that maybe the way that I've been doing it isn't working and there's a better way to do it. Or maybe I thought I had to live my life one way and there's actually another way to live. And I think sometimes, like for me personally, I can get fixated on trying to find the truth or the right way to do things. And what I've realized is the more open that I stay to there being any kind of possibility, the more I can go my own path and run my own race and be authentic to myself and figure it out as I go and follow like actually where my soul and my heart is calling to, instead of logically setting the path ahead of myself already. And I think I want to show up that way every single day and like approach it with a fresh slate of like, yes, I have a foundation of my knowledge, but I'm open to, I was wrong about all that. And maybe there's somewhere new that I want to go, or somewhere new that feels better for me right now, that would benefit me, that would benefit the team, the world. And kind of have that, it's almost like this youthful view of the world. It reminds me of like staying in joy and presence, of just being open that anything's possible. And I think when I feel that deep down, the whole world is open to you and bigger than you thought. You thought the world was this big, and there's actually bigger than you ever dreamed of. So I think that's something that I would say.
I like it. I like it. So walk in your boots is to know how to be open. I like that.
I think for me, it'd be to walk in my boots would be to just show determination. Like, if there's a way, I'm going to find it, but I will also figure out how to make one. Like, I refuse to take no for an answer so many times, which is why I'm here today, but also just in life, like if there's something that I want to do or something that I aspire to be, I'm going to make sure that it happens, and I will find a way and I'll find a path, and I might get knocked backwards a couple steps, but I'm still going to find that way forward and that way through.
Love that about you.
That's great.
To walk in my boots is to have faith. I think throughout life in my whole career. In the moment, it feels really hard. And like, I'm like, why is this happening? What is happening? It doesn't make sense at times. But looking back, like I was exactly where I needed to be. And, you know, even when it is hard and I'm going through those moments where certain things feel like the end of the world, I look back and realize I've learned so much. I've grown as a person. My identity is constantly changing, but hardening almost, like I'm figuring out who I am. And I think it's really cool just to look back and see how in the moment it feels like the world's ending at times, and I'm like, what is happening? Why is this happening? But looking back, once you go through those moments and those hard times, I've always looked back and learned things about myself, formed a stronger identity, and seen that I was exactly where I was meant to be.
I loved it.
I like that. I like that.
To walk in my boots is probably to be unwavering. I think anyone who knows me knows I'm not going to do anything I don't want to do. Shocker. But no. For better and for worse, hopefully, I think mostly for better. I think one of the qualities I'm most grateful for is that I'm really comfortable. I'm really comfortable being in uncomfortable positions, and I'm unwavering in them. And that, I think, is a skill that served me really well in this crazy career that we've had, and this like crazy life that we've chosen to live. And I don't know if I'm articulating it in a way that people who haven't been in those situations understand. But you guys are smiling. I know you guys get it.
We get it.
But it's. I think in life it's hard to make decisions that you know are right, decisions that have consequences that you have to accept, but you don't want those consequences. And I think for me, I'm really good at making those decisions and being at peace and happy with them. So yeah, unwavering.
Nice.
I like all these answers. I like that a lot. Being unwavering, being able to be at peace with whatever you decide, and knowing you did your best. You chose what you thought was best. Being able to have faith through all the different types of challenges that you're facing, and understanding that something good is going to come from it. Being able to be open to, whatever life throws your way. And then also, of course, being able to understand, if you need to say no, and understanding how that process works for you. I think that's the challenge of being successful. You learn things about yourself. You learn things that work for you and that don't. And that's why I say for me, it's struggle, and knowing, as similar to you, with struggle comes something better. When every storm in your life, with every challenge that you face, there's something better on the other side of it. And I actually do have one more. I'm sorry. But you guys are able to build something so great every day, whether you realize it or not. Everything that we're doing, there's always somebody watching. There's always somebody that's looking up to you. There's always somebody that wants to be like you. And you're able to be a leader, a trailblazer, and someone that's also building a legacy that allows others, whether it's the next generation or even somebody beside you, to be a better person. As you were talking about with Midge, the smiles at practice, whatever it is, you're lifting and uplifting and empowering somebody. What is that legacy for you that you're hoping, again, this is a little bit bigger picture for you, but that you're hoping through every day what you're doing continuously is going to translate into showing somebody else how to live their life to be a little bit better, a little bit happier, a little bit more excited to play soccer, a little bit more excited to show up as themselves, unwavering, or have faith. What is that legacy for you that you're building?
I mean, I think that if I was to leave a legacy of, I want people to know that they are designed perfectly how they're meant to be. Like, we are all unique. Similar, I mean, I'm going to come back to like run your own race, because I just love that so much. We are all on our own paths, and we all have different things that light us up, that trigger us, that help us grow. And we need to trust that, like, we are here on our own journey growing, and we're here to help other people. But I think if you stay true to who you are along the way, you will end up exactly where you're meant to be, exactly with the people you're meant to be with, and you are capable of more than you ever imagined. And I think in our world right now, especially with social media and stuff, it's so full of comparison. And I think what we need more than ever is like having integrity with who you are and giving people the time and space to figure out who that they are as well. So yeah, I just want people to know that you are exactly how you were designed to be, and trust that. And I think that will lead you to all the feelings that I think we all want to feel every day.
Maybe in a few years or a little later down the road, this might change. But I think something is like, I just want to be like proud of myself and how I handled or got through every situation. And I think like to be in it is kind of hard to realize it in the moment, but when you get to look back on it or kind of step away from that moment exactly, to be like, okay, I'm proud of who I was in that moment, in that situation, how I handled it, or can I learn something from like what just happened and kind of be better for it. I think that attains to like sports as well as life. And like, I think if you can be proud of who you are, because we have so many eyes on us, so many opinions about us, like on the field, off the field, somebody always has something to say. But if you can like just be proud of yourself, I think that has power.
Yeah, and the number of eyes on you guys every day is growing. This is why, in terms of like your legacy, it might be weird to think about, but the reality is there are more people watching women's sports now. In person, the attendance numbers are through the roof. You know, there's more streaming services that are rolling out, you know, partnerships with the league to be able to provide people around the world a chance to watch all over the world. You have businesses and sponsorships with companies like Johnnie Walker that are investing in women's sports to make it their mission and make sure that they're providing more resources, access, opportunities to be able to tap into all the great things that make women's sports fantastic. So although it might feel weird to think about now, in the reality, you guys are in the midst of a major change. Right now, women's sports are at the forefront. You know, I feel like daily, and I'm sure you guys probably agree, more and more people are asking about it, talking about it, paying attention to it. You know, have you had, or, you know, what does it mean to you, I should say, to see how much people are investing? And also just realizing what we already knew, the greatness that is women's sports, and actually now investing to make sure that it's getting the platform and spaces that it deserves.
I think it means people have better business plans. I just think it was really poor business before, like just awful investments, missed opportunities. And it's great to have smart sponsors like Johnnie Walker who see good opportunities, and they see all the eyes, and they see these storylines that are really interesting to tap in, and all of these women who are not just good role models. And I know that's the role that we've traditionally loved to like platform female athletes onto, but just sick athletes, just wonderfully gifted players. So it's good business.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You now have a chance to have more people understand the talent, and they want to maybe be fast and a great 1v1 attacker like Midge, or a great midfielder that can keep possession like Nealy, or maybe playing goal sometimes too. Be able to get into, you know, tackles and play aggressive and make runs like Sinead, be a tremendous defender like Kristen. The talent is also a big part of what you're able to showcase, that we can, you know, play tremendous soccer, have fun doing it, and also show that there's so much talent across the pitch that others want to look up to and be like. And that's empowering. It's a lot to handle, but you guys, again, are in the midst of being a part of that change to elevate all the great talent that is the NWSL, women's soccer, sports in general, to provide that. So that's incredible. Well, ladies, I appreciate you each for taking time to give us a chance to walk in your boots a bit and have an opportunity to chat and talk through your experiences and just reflect back on all that you've been able to accomplish and all the great things that you're still going to accomplish, because you've got a lot of great soccer ahead of you, and it's been fantastic to have a chance to walk in your boots a bit today. So thank you guys.
Thank
Thank you.